Hi everybody, welcome back to my studio. Today I am creating an art collage and I'm going to do it on top of this old book cover. It came off of a book, really old book that I gutted to use the pages, and I always save the covers because they're great substrates. And I have a piece of burlap linen. It's not hairy like burlap, it's actually a woven linen material, but it looks like burlap, but you don't get all the dust and the hair in your glue and everything. I used it when I made hooked rugs, so it's just left over. So I am going to use my Ultimate Glue by the Crafter's Pick, and I start out spreading it with that silicone brush, but it doesn't have a hard enough edge. It'll spread it, but it wasn't spreading it thin enough for me. So you can see here, I knew I was going to need a lot of glue, and the glue is fairly thick, and it's hard for me to get squeezed out through the nozzle applicator. So I just took the cap off, but I switched to a credit card and I got a nice thin layer of glue that way. And then I just put the burlap on top, and I'm just going to smooth it down. And then I have it's a brayer, but it's used, like, it's actually a seam roller for wallpaper. It's wood, so I just wanted to make sure I got really good adhesion, and then put the glue along the edges on the back as well. And I'm just going to trim those corners off to reduce the bulk so I don't get big heavy turned corners. And just pulling it over and smoothing it down. This glue, if you watch my videos, you know I love this glue. It grabs like right now, so it's really easy to use. So I am just going to get all of these edges folded back and glued down, get the corners clipped, and I thought that I sped through some of this, but there we go. Just speed it up a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing, but don't need to belabor the gluing portions. And just making sure those corners are down really well. And I wasn't worried about covering the whole back because, as you'll see here, I wanted to cover the back with an old book page. So I have this page, I just cut it down from an old, I think it was an old history book or geography book. And I am using gel matte medium, and I'm just going to get that down. Just a nice finished off back, because nobody wants to see those raw edges. I'm going to have to figure out something to do with all this stuff I'm making, you guys. I do have some of my art for sale on my website, but I have so much more than what I even have on there, so I may have to do a giveaway or something pretty soon and start making space in my studio for more, because I'm running out of room. And then I just went over the top of that book page as well to protect it with the gel matte medium, and I dried it with the heat tool. So it's all dry and all nice and smooth, and this is my homemade texture paste, and I wanted to use this as opposed to my golden texture paste because of the color. I added some acrylic paint to this when I made it, and it's kind of an off-white, more of a buff color. It's not stark white. I didn't want white. And it works exactly the same at a fraction of the price. Made that whole big tub a long time ago, and I've just been using it and using it. So I just applied it to the edges with the palette knife. And then at some point, I didn't show you, but I also scraped some across the back. So I have a piece of very old Baltimore newspaper, and I took a cabinet card and cut the photograph off of it to make a frame. So that's what that is right there, and you can see the edge of it, the corner of it is damaged, but I have an idea for camouflaging that later. So I'm just going to put the newspaper into the back just like you would a picture. Just wanted to make sure I had it going the right direction. And then I just took the ultimate glue and got a generous amount all the way around the edges. And I'm going to adhere that to my substrate. And using that seam roller again just to get really good adhesion. So I had a piece of an old folding ruler that was my dad's, and I broke it apart, and I'm going to apply that to the bottom right underneath the frame. You guys know I love numbers and vintage stuff. And then just clip that down until it dry. Just use that big bulldog clip. And we'll just let that dry really well. Now it's time to camouflage that corner. So I have a piece of very old lace, and I thought I'd put that up there first, and then I have that key that has a piece of tea-dyed muslin tied around it. I'm just going to sit that right on top of it, and that should do the trick. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going to speed this up too because it's just gluing. But for the lace I used the gel medium, and then to put that key down I'm just going to use my ultimate glue. And I put a big dollop where the head of the key is kind of in the hole there in the corner, just to kind of build that up a little bit. So now I have 3 Tim Holtz paper dolls, and I'm just going to add those because I like them a lot. Actually, I think the larger photograph of the man at the top was from the Tim Holtz cabinet cards, not the paper dolls, and I cut him out of, those are rectangular photos, and I cut him out, and then the other 2 were from the paper dolls. So I'm just going to glue all of these pieces. I have a little bit of ephemera as well, and a little bit of text from a book page there at the top that says good enough for us. I don't know why, I liked it, and I thought, yeah, that works on here, so that's what I put on there. So just speeding through all the gluing because it's just gluing. Just wiping off the excess. I hope you're enjoying watching this process, and I hope you'll give it a try. It's easy to just create a cool looking substrate that then you can build your collage on top of. Something as simple as a piece of cardboard, a book cover, an old canvas. You could even go to Goodwill and buy an existing canvas picture and just put a couple coats of gesso on it and use that and just make it into something new. Even a piece of masonite, I mean, you know, a clipboard. You could do this on all kinds of different substrates. Don't think that you just have to have, you know, new special canvases or art boards. I like to use old things, reuse and repurpose, and So that's basically it. Everything's glued down. I did go over the frame there, as you see. It was just kind of dingy black. You know how old paper gets kind of grayed out. So I just wanted to kind of bring the color back, the deepness of the black. So I just went over it with the matte medium. And to kind of bring out the red that's in that piece of folding ruler at the bottom, I have tons and tons of vintage buttons. Some were mine that I collected, and just a ton of them were my mom's. So I just took 3 red vintage buttons and I ran some hemp cord through them. And you see the top one, I cut the cord before I tied it, and so now it's too short to tie. So I glued it down, but then I'm going to come back to it at the end here and fix it, because I wasn't going to fight with those tiny little ends of thread to try to get them tied. And I just glued them down with the ultimate glue, and I'm going to pick that off before it dries and put a new piece of cord through there so that I can get it tied easy. And just glue it back down to the collage. And that's basically it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you'll give it a try. I appreciate you watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it if you did that. And if you share this out to your Facebook groups or Instagram, please tag me so that I know that you shared, so I can thank you. And in the meantime, go make some art. Bye.